Welcome to Monday Matters, and an important and really busy time of the year, culminating all the great work that's gone on in the conversations and the coaching and the feedback at the end of the year reviews, and really driving a high performance organisation through a robust and fair performance management process. Now, I'd be the first to acknowledge we've got a long way to go here. Looking at the last pulse survey, we're only about 50% of our colleagues think we do this well. And actually apply a rigorous performance management process. It shouts out to us that we've got a long way to go. And a key partner to make this happen and improve the organisation and raise the bar is my colleague Joe Rodrigues. So I'm really pleased to be joined by Joe today. So what do we need to do? Practical steps to make the performance management process more effective for everybody involved and really raise the bar.
I think that one of the most important things is setting clear expectations from the outset. It's an all year round thing, so it might feel particularly busy at the moment with the performance management, but this is an all year thing. So for me, that's the key thing. It's about expectations throughout the year, ongoing, honest conversations, which focus on both the how and what we're all doing.
What can then line managers kind of do better? What role do they play?
So line managers, I see line managers playing a really important role, primarily in role modelling and with their team and giving their time to individuals to talk about what they've done in their own performance. Reflecting back on my own experience, I've been managed by people before in other organisations where I've ended up the year with the top performance marking, but throughout the year felt I'm not actually sure how well I'm doing, had an end of year review that left me feeling I'm not quite sure what happened there. So I can't underestimate, I think, the importance of that ongoing conversation. But I think I'd challenge your question a bit, Stephen, around what role line managers have, because they do have an important role, but it's also the role that all of us have. So this is very much a two-way process, and it is very much about what the individuals do as well. So for all of us, what expectations are we setting with our line managers? We're responsible for managing our careers. So for anybody, you know, unless you're literally brand new and you've never worked before, I don't understand it when someone says they haven't got objectives, because why haven't you talked to your line manager about this? Why haven't you sat down? Even if you've written it on the back of the envelope, I'm not that concerned what it's written on, but why haven't you had that good quality conversation about what you're doing and what good looks like? Because if you're not on the same page there, then how can you get on and deliver what you need to do?
I think it's really important just to reiterate, everybody in our organisation should have objectives. And I think 6 months ago I said, if you don't have objectives, come to me ultimately, but I'd expect you first to go to your line manager and obviously your team of HR business partners. So I think it's really important that we connect what we talk about, that golden thread of what the minister really cares about, and the objectives to individuals to materially make a difference and have an objective set of criteria where we can all be successful and drive that culture. Yeah,
and that's where I was sorry just interject. I think that's where I'd hope, you know, individuals, line managers, but also actually teams are talking about this, because I think it is a team thing to talk about actually how is what we're doing fitting with the wider picture.
Yeah. Now let's bring an elephant into the room. Okay. So I think it's the case, I hear some chatter, that there's concerns around the changes this year, and what's the context of that, and maybe some reassurance associated with that?
Yeah, so some of the things that, you know, I pick up on where I was concerned about the guided distribution, and what does that mean? What does it mean if you're in the bottom box? Does that mean you're on poor performance measures? And absolutely no, it doesn't. It would include some people who are in that position, but what this is about is continually raising the bar and saying that in a normal distribution we would expect there to be a proportion of people who need to improve performance. Actually, all of us need to improve something or other, but people who are particularly need to be called out on that. So it's meant to be, and I know this could be thrown back as it's just a theory, but it's meant to be, and I think handled rightly is a supportive thing to get a bottom performance marking, because actually that means you can demand the support to help you improve your performance in the longer term. I think the other things I hear concern about are the validation, or sometimes called the moderating meetings that happen, and what happens in those meetings. And so this year in ERG, one of the things we've done is you, Stephen, I think it's next week, you've got all the chairs at those meetings together, so you can talk through your expectations and have everyone together to think about how the meetings are handled. And some of the messages that I think it's really important to get out to chairs and to everybody so the process is transparent is that when, as a manager, because a lot of people who are watching this will be managers as well as being managed themselves, is going into those meetings. You're not going in doing battle, fighting for your people, I want them to come out with this marking.
Yeah.
But actually, as a leader of this organisation, you're responsible with other leaders for looking at a cohort of people and thinking about where the distribution is falling. So that wider leadership. And for me, that's where the problems happen. It's not about the process. It's about leaders and all of us stepping up.
We talk a lot, I guess, in the civil service about evidence and data and objectivity, one of our core values. Elucidate a bit further on how we bring that into the room, particularly in the moderation meeting. So fair, dispassionate, objective, just the guidance around that.
Obviously, there's the evidence that's been brought in from other people where your feedback should have been agreed with your managers to make sure that you're not just asking your mates. So there's that evidence that's coming in. And I think, managers and individuals should both be challenging two-way to providing evidence and making sure that that's factual and based up and it's not based on anecdote. That said, I do think part of leadership and management is sometimes making decisions in areas which are grey and sometimes in areas where it is hard to pinpoint some exact firm evidence, and particularly when you come on some of the behavioural stuff, I think sometimes it can be sort of challenging. It's not like a graph or a table, and actually we pay people to be leaders and step up and call some of those things out. Good.
Really appreciate that. I hope that helps everybody out, and it certainly helps me going into the moderation meetings. So in terms of our conclusions, really important process. I think it's also important to acknowledge this is a two-way street, two-way communication process. It's also really important not just to look at achieving the outputs, but it's also the how and the behaviours. So it's not only the what, the outcomes are important to our minister and stakeholders, but really important about how we achieve that in terms of a great culture we build here, great collaborative work, great teamwork, great supportive behaviour, and in service of departments, and all those things that are fundamentally important to us. The other thing I think it's really important to bring into this conversation is two key civil service values around integrity and honesty. And I think we owe it to our people to apply those through this process and hold ourselves accountable to the highest levels of integrity and the greatest degree of honesty. So that's really key to us. But this is an important process. I've really valued Joe's insight to make it incredibly useful, and it's fundamentally strategic and important around raising the bar and making us the world-class organisation that we aspire to be. Thank you.